Hi, everyone. My name is Arshad Carim, and I'm a principal with the Alexander Group. We're a revenue management growth consulting firm, and we recently published some very interesting research in a white paper on revenue operations. And I'm here with my colleagues, Uebelhor and Matt Bartels, to talk a little bit about what we've been finding on this topic of revenue operations that is really an evolution of the different support functions for the revenue organization, which typically is comprised of some combination of sales, marketing, and service. And this has really led to the rise of this revenue operations function to support that revenue organization. And, RevOps, we're seeing being successful at helping to grow revenue because it's aligning these functions and it's bringing together silos of the past. And this recent research that we did also showed that companies that are investing in revenue ops differentially are getting north of 30% higher growth. Pretty interesting statistic, and wanted to throw that out to you, Kyle and Matt, to get your thoughts on that.
Yeah. Hey, thanks, Arshad. So, it's interesting at the Alexander Group, we do organize ourselves by vertical or by sort of industry sector. I personally am in charge of the manufacturing and distribution sector for us. And, if you think about it, manufacturers have historically not really paid much attention to the sales function, much less this whole idea of revenue ops function. Sure, they've had marketing, sales, and service, but never has it really been stitched together. You're spot on. What's phenomenal about this, and I think this is going to hold true for the rest of us when we catch up in a second here with you, Matt, is that growth rate is really differentiated. People who are putting their time and effort in developing RevOps, what has historically been called sales operations, but really bringing it together, are seeing some incredible growth rates. And I think it's pretty interesting. Matt, is that the same true for you over the media side?
I can tell you, if you look back over what happened last year, So I work with the publishers and the platforms in the media ad sales practice. And you look at the evolution of what happened last year, really bad Q2 with COVID and everything that was going on. And it caused a reset of a mindset, and it caused a rethinking of what you wanted to do or what the organizations wanted to do as they moved into coming out, the uplift, the turn, if you will. And in media ad sales, very complex sales models. So there's a lot of roles and a lot of pre-sales, a lot of post-sales roles. So there were some upheaval when it comes to the configuration of the sales force. In addition to, they were working on trying to get closer to the customer, develop new products, new pitches, institute new training, all of these things to help advance the skill sets of the organization. And as you're moving out, Q3 started to pop up a little bit, and then Q4 happened, and it was all hands on deck, just close as much business as you can. And now what's happened at the start of Q1 is we're lifting our heads out of the sand now and saying, okay, what happened? How do we make order of this mess that we just created? And really, we found that looking at the revenue operations function can become more of a glue to tie things back together. And there are some interesting findings, Arshad and Kyle, from just the media perspective around the strategic elements versus the tactical elements that we'll talk about in subsequent conversations, that really have shown that organizations that are working in 3 different areas specifically are really helping to unlock growth versus just using the revenue operations to just inspect it. And that's a big difference.
It kind of surprises me, Matt. Your story is so uniquely different than mine and Arshad, with your time in tech and life sciences is different as there as well. But there's a lot of fundamentals in revenue operations that are the same, and a lot of shared ideas that I think makes this topic of creating a new function pretty interesting. I don't know, Arshad.
This is a newfangled thing. This isn't just the sales ops or the shadow ops of the past. This is a much more robust function. It's bringing together data. It's creating a single source of truth. It's breaking down those silos, right, from these different functions that I think we've seen in the past, which creates a much more powerful unity around what this group can drive for the organization, right?
That's the key that I've heard, is just first and foremost, the definition of what it is. Just having an idea that revenue ops
What's in and
isn't
out?
just sales ops, right?
That's it.
Isn't
Yeah.
just
See, a
enablement.
lot of, for instance, we're having a lot of people who are like so concerned about, well, I don't have the headcount to afford to throw a lot of people at this. Well, that's okay, because if you focus on what you really need, and in subsequent episodes, we're going to talk about this more, guys, but there's a way to sort of crawl, walk, run to get to the right answer. What's interesting in my perspective, and I think it's like you said, Matt, we just popped our heads up and holy cow, what just happened last year? We got to be smart about growth, and we got to be very concise about where we're headed. That distance between the crawl and the walk and the run is getting really fast.
I think the leaders that I'm talking to who are taking a progressive approach on this, they're talking about RevOps as a revenue multiplier.
Yeah.
Right? And it's a way to actually get much more productivity out of that revenue organization. And you do it because you're unifying the data, you're creating the scale, killing the silos.
And it's about the customer. It's not about our products. Exactly. It's not about our services. It's not about these fiefdoms that have been built up over time, but it's taking all these good functional things that we've had in the past, marketing, sales, and service, and putting them into sort of a clean vision. I don't know. Matt, you saw it more than any of us last year. It was crazy what you guys went through.
Yeah, and I can tell you, we've got clients right now, and they're asking themselves the question: do we invest in one more headcount of an AE and get $2.5 to $5 million of productivity, or do we invest in professionalizing our revenue operations where we can look to find an extra 15 million or find an extra 20 million?
You know, that question you just raised, or that comment, Matt, that's a hard one for revenue leaders to wrap their heads around. But again, I think the progressive ones are asking that question and really trying to figure out, can I get more of that return if I do some of these things in a RevOps way? And it's a great question to ask, because if you're trying to grow, how do you grow faster?
I don't know, guys. That's the question that we're always grappling with, and we get one of the most enjoyable jobs I can think of, where we help our clients figure this equation out. But there's a lot more on this topic. I'm excited. I think this is going to be fun to get together with you on a regular basis and talk through all the issues that are there. And thinking through Arshad, that article that we co-authored a couple weeks ago. I think that's a nice landing spot to start, but let's look forward to talking more about this in the future if you guys are up for it.
I'm loving the innovations. I'm loving the direction and the cutting edge nature of what we're talking about.
Yeah, great discussion, gentlemen. I think we'll probably be back for more on this topic, as it's a pretty juicy one.
Ain't going away.
But that white paper that we referenced is available for you to download. We'll provide you the link here. And we hope you enjoyed this topical organic discussion on revenue operations amongst the three of us. And tune into the Alexander Group for future discussions here on Spotlight Revenue Operations. Thanks.